Hello, comrades, and welcome back to Ushanka Show. Stories about life in the Soviet Union. Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи! В эфире программа Ushanka Show. Истории про жизнь в Советском Союзе. And today I would like to tell you some more interesting stories about my adventures in Ukraine back in the summer of 2013 when I went to visit my family, and especially my mother, who lives out in the country. In my first video, I already told you about my arrival to Kiev and a trip up north to Chernihiv region where my mother currently resides. I mentioned in my first video that I helped my mother to purchase this house at the price of $2,000. Now, it doesn't include the land. In Ukraine, still there's no private ownership of the land, so it's kind of silly. House is yours, but land is not yours. And some people mentioned that it sounds very cheap, $2,000. You actually can find even cheaper homes in that village. You can find like a wood log cabins, of course, no conveniences besides electricity, even as low as $500. But this village is dying out. They recently closed down the post office, and I think maybe in the next 20 years, and this village will be gone at all. Like with no inhabitants left. And also I mentioned that I replaced 7 windows. I believe it was $700 or $750, but my mom was trying to save me money and herself money, so out of 7 windows, only 2 actual window that you can open. The rest is just like a permanent window that you can't really open. You also need to keep in mind that for the locals, that if you're a retiree, your pension somewhere between $100 to $200 per month, and if you work, like I know that a couple of guys were working for the local kind of like a farming cooperative, they were making about $300 a month. So $2,000 to buy a house, it's actually quite a bit of money. So back to showing my mother's house. This is the view of the loft. So there's this really primitive basic ladder, and as you see, there is no insulation in the roof. People just put straw to keep house somewhat warm, so it's really hard to keep these places warm in the winter. And I recall my grandfather's story that in the winter, when they wake up, there will be a bucket with water on the floor in the room, and there'll be a layer of ice on the top of the water, so that's how cold it would get while they're sleeping. So in the winter, the locals sleep on the top of the wood-burning brick stove. As you see, they have a so-called lizhanka, the layer, so that's pretty much, it's really warm if you, of course, burn wood at least once or twice a day, and it keeps you really warm and cozy. While the rest of the house will be pretty cold, you can sleep there and it feels really nice. So here you see me and my brother just kind of chilling on the top of that wood-burning stove, which is called pech. As I mentioned, most homes in the Ukrainian and Russian countryside don't have running water, so this is what people use to do their hands. It's called umyvalnik. So you fill this little bucket with water, and then this little thing on the bottom, when you push it in, it lets the water run, so you have running water this way using gravity. So you just soap your hands, push the thing up, water will be coming down, you wash your hands, and then when you let it go, it will shut itself off. This one is made of plastic, so it's kind of modern technology. I remember my grandparents having one made out of, I think it was probably aluminum. And this is your typical outhouse. Once again, this is what you have to do if you don't have running water. In the summer, it's not that bad. I actually found kind of interesting to use the bathroom there, because if you leave the door open, you have a nice view of the garden. But I think in the winter, it won't be fun to use outhouse like that. And here's another fun example of the outhouse. I took this picture even earlier, probably like 2003, because it still was a film camera. This is the outhouse of my friend's grandparents. A guy was a retired school teacher, and his wife was retired retail worker, so she worked at the store. So like village intelligentsia, and still this is what they use for the bathroom. Pretty depressing. And my son quickly realized that you don't want to bring your smartphone if you go to use outhouse, because if you drop your phone, it's gone. You're not gonna dig in that hole. And of course, since there's no running water, once again, people get their drinking water or utility water out of the wells. The well itself could be built using like this concrete circle things or made with brick, and brick tends to be better well because concrete gives kind of this chalky flavor to your water. And of course you want to constantly use your well, otherwise water will get stagnant.
Hello my friends, this is how you get water here. You know, it's like the most advanced stuff you've ever seen. You see? You know, it's not tap water, it's well water, so you know, it's like nice and looks like the way in. Now, you pull it up. Didn't get much.
You gotta do a second time. Okay, now you gotta hold with one hand and grab with the other hand, because if you let it go, it'll start going down.
Really?
Well, grab it. Now you gotta pull it and pour water in there.
It's cold.
Okay, we gotta go down again to get more water. Sometimes you can yank the chain and make the whole thing sink. Did it go down?
Yep.
Whoa, that's much better. Okay, let the chain go.
Пусти это вот. Не, то там надо. Ручку. Надо ручку тихенько назад мотать.
Well, you're sticking the hands and we gotta wash it now. Okay, so that's about. What's interesting about these so-called колодцы wells, they most of the time on the street, so there's like a communal thing. So I would say neighbors, maybe 5-6 houses, they got together when they build their homes, and they together dug колодец, the well, so water will be shared among the neighbors. I think I remember only one place that people had the well inside of their little area that fenced in. And if you kind of get a feeling that everything you see in this village is like 50-year-old lifestyle, this well is probably, I would say, 100-year-old technology. This is so-called leleka, или журавель, the stork, named after a bird because it looks like a tall bird standing, and it says that gravity operated well. That's how everything used to be back in the day, and then it was upgraded to this a roller chain type device later on. Здравствуйте. Alright, so we are the different, more traditional type of the well called leleka, and now we're gonna learn how to operate that thing. They use the old tire, so put your bucket over there on the bench. Now you just pull it down and work it all the way down. Здрасте.
Здравствуйте.
Он учив свого сина як лелека. Це ж лелека називається, да?
Да.
Учу його як
Журавель.
журавель.
Журавель, ага. Журавель. Вы приехали в гости, да?
Да, уже сегодня уже уезжаем. Мы же тут уже почти 10 дней. Смотри, что по голове тебе не дало.
Да, у боку. Це журавель він зоветься. Зараз його вообще мало. У нас же думали поставить крутелку, как у вашей мамы, и все там и поняли. А мы сказали, оставляем старые, чтобы было иначе, вы поняли. Все равно, спасибо председателю сельсовета дала нам и веселый утюг, а це мы своими силами робили. Ну, материал дал, колхозы, председатель, а це все своими силами. Нравится? Я ему так тягачу. Ну, вану ватка.
Did you like it? Не. Я давно пробовал. You don't need to have it full, Oliver, it's fine. Less for me to carry. Alright. We'll get the bucket out of the way, we'll see how the grandma does it.
I don't think it's...
А воды сейчас мало, да? Упала вода.
Чуть-чуть вода упала. Чуть-чуть упала вода. Его надо вот так быстро брать.
Yeah, move it quickly.
О. И она вообще легкая.
And that's way easier. Can you dip it in?
Идет так. И все. Поняла.
Тяжело.
Вам проще. Вы и то, и то.
Да.
Ну что?
Are you recording? Should say rack.
I am.
You are? Yeah.
Jeez.
Ну, я только половину набрал.
Да? А ну берите ще.
Так и меня аж не стешь туди.
Не, ну все равно попробуйте. Еще раз. Витя.
It just happened that my mother's home that I helped her to purchase is located on the same street and very close to her grandparents' original home. I never met them, they passed away before I was born. So this log cabin is over 100 years old and amazingly still standing, and it's not occupied for a long time. My grandfather's sister inherited this place and then she traded with people for a smaller place. And what was cool about this particular log cabin, it was built with oak, not with pine. Most homes in that village built with the pine logs. And this one was built with oak logs, so they are more durable and last way longer. And as you see, it's a popular style roofing that cement asbestos roofing tiles. So no one lives in this place, but my mom knows the owners, and so she borrowed the key. And people used it to store hay, and the main reason they keep this property, not for the house, but because the garden has a really good soil. It's on the banks of the small creek, so the soil is really good to grow potatoes. So that's the only reason they keep the property, so they can plant potatoes every year. And this is what we saw when we walked inside. So once again, brick wood burning stove, part of it already collapsed. The problem with this brick stoves that if you don't keep them like fired up, literally keep fire going, and if the house is placed in the kind of moist location, the moisture will destroy the brick and stoves will collapse. So once again, you see the spot where people could sleep on the top, and then of course they use it for cooking and for heating the house. My mom said that she remembers coming to this place as a kid. So she was born in 1948, so I assume my grandparents lived there till maybe 60s when they passed away. And another small detail is this blue paint. Maybe some of you noticed, it's like the most popular color for window treatments and the door treatments. I'm not sure why, because maybe it's only color available, but you could see through the villages, it's pretty much the predominant color, this light blue color. And as I mentioned earlier, you can purchase houses like this for about $500. But of course, that's a lot of work to make it livable, and you won't own the land. Actually, if you buy property in that village, you'll be paying like a rent fee. It's not much, but depending on the size of the lot you want to use for your garden, so you'll be paying like rent, but you would own the house. Now, my mom, since she's a retiree, according to Ukrainian law, she doesn't have to pay rent. Well, I can tell you for sure that I got Americanized after living in America for 20 years because I was taking pictures like this, a broom made from twigs. So this is for your like rough sweeping. Mostly this is like outdoor broom. So if you want to get the path swept from leaves, that's what people use. Some of you may remember this photo I posted recently on Facebook and on YouTube. So this was taken in 2003 in our old house. So that was still standing, and we saved this frame. My grandpa liked Brezhnev so much that he placed his photo in the middle between our relatives' pictures, and then you see in the corner there is an icon that we always had. So my mom, although she was never a really religious person, she kind of became more religious when she retired. She saved that icon and she actually made it even prettier, and now it's installed in her new home. You could see it right above us. And here's some pictures how my mom cooks in a brick stove. So as you see, there's a bigger opening there, and you set up logs, you set them on fire, then you put these ceramic pots with soup, kasha, borscht, and then she got some pancakes going. So this is how she cooks in stove. And she also used this little electric stove, especially in the summer when it's really hot, and you know, if you cook in the wood burning stove, it heats up the whole house. So if it's during the super hot days in the summer, she won't cook in the stove, she's just gonna use this electric thing. What caught my eye in the village, and this is kind of a new thing because I never seen it before, is the extensive use of so-called motor block. So in America they used to use those quite often in, I guess, 30s, maybe 40s, 50s, but this is the new thing in Ukraine. Instead of the horse, people use this device and they can ride it. There is a little bench, so you can use it as a trailer to haul wood or whatever, and then you can till, you can cut grass and use for other purposes. So this one really popular device now in the Ukrainian villages, motor block. But still, quite a few people use horses for transportation, for tilling the gardens. And the only upgrade I noticed back in the 80s, those horse buggies used to have wooden wheels. Now they upgraded them to rubber wheels, so that's a big change. But it's so wild to see. I mean, this is the country that sent first satellite into space, Sputnik, and people, meanwhile, were still doing most of like this type of work, agriculture work, using horses. There's just such a huge gap between what the Soviet Union managed to achieve and how the rest of the country remained in the last century. And before we wrap up today's long and boring video, I want to show you this picture. So this is once again abandoned local fire station. It was in use into the 80s, and now someone used it to store hay once again. And as you see, there's a bird's nest on the top of the watchtower. I thought it was a pretty cool picture. Well, my friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this presentation of life in the rural Ukraine circa 2013. And we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye. Hey, by the way, the cool merch for cool comrades is available at the Ushanka store at teespring.com. Just a friendly reminder that my book American Diaries is available on amazon.com, or shoot me an email if you would like to have a signed copy. Thank you. And if you love my channel and would like to show your support, please click on the link below this video and become the patron of the Ushanka Show. For as little as $1, you can help us grow and create the new, interesting videos about the life and